We're going to talk a little bit about managing fatigue from a powerlifting standpoint. You can use this model with the SRA curve and just kind of managing fatigue. You can use it in weightlifting, CrossFit, pretty much any form of strength training, or working out for that case. So what we see a lot of people screw up is not the volume or intensity from an overload standpoint. We see that they screw up everything from a fatigue management standpoint. So fatigue management is going to be one of the most important things when trying to gain strength, when trying to get yourself better for, again, things like CrossFit, weightlifting, strongman. So it's very easy to overload by throwing in volume or intensity. Pretty much anybody can do that. It's throwing in the proper overload in correlation with your fatigue management. So again, we're going to stick to powerlifting with squat, bench, deadlift. So here we have the SRA curve. You'll hear me talk about this a lot if you've ever worked with me. So basically when you introduce that stimulus, you're going to need time to recover, and then an adaptation happens. All right, pretty simple. What we see a lot of times is that people will throw in, let's say, a heavy squat on, early in the week. And then they're coming through and, maybe they have a coach that says, they need to bench this much or deadlift this much, and they go off track. Or if you're doing your own programming, you decide, hey, I feel good to that day, I'm just going to pull heavy. And it's really not the week to be doing that. So you introduce your stimulus, or let's say, even another squat, for example. You introduce a stimulus, and then let's say midweek, you're going to go ahead and you're going to wreck yourself here before you're even out of that recovery curve to adapt. So you're going to just drag yourself lower and just kind of keep on heading out. You do this enough times, you will get injured. There's no doubt about it. If you don't allow yourself time to recover and adapt, you're not going to get stronger. Eventually what will happen is you'll become so fatigued that you're going to get injured in some way. And as far as things like CrossFit, we've seen where people become so fatigued that they're on borderline getting into adrenal fatigue. Not good when you're working with high intense training. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're picking your volume, your intensities. A couple of the important things is to find a max recoverable volume, know how much you can recover from. And then a lot of people talk about, the minimum effective volume. I like to call it the minimum effective dose, because you're kind of dosing this much for the program. So when you're picking your training, know what time of the year it is, know what kind of phases you're in, things like that, and understand, just simply adding in more volume isn't going to get you stronger, especially if you're at an intermediate level and above. Just adding in more volume is not going to get you stronger at that point. With your intensity, as you get better, you're not going to be able to lift heavy as often. So we see a lot of people, with the stimulus and the recovery and adapting to that. This is all going to depend on whether you're male, female, weights that you're moving, your own body weight, your natural kind of abilities to recover, whether you're drug-free or not drug-free, things like that. For a lot of people that will say, oh, well, you just take drugs and you just magically recover. That's not the case either. The most important things are going to be your food, your sleep, and your recovery modalities. So with food, you need to make sure that you're eating enough as far as carbohydrates, plenty of carbs, calories in there, protein, throw in your fats. If you've never tracked your macros, I would suggest doing it, trying to figure out how much you really need for maintenance and to be able to recover and to get better. And as you get better in your sport, your food is probably going to go up, or at least it should go up. You should be able to get your metabolism firing good enough and get these weights moving, which is going to take more food to recover from your training. One of the most important things is sleep. Obviously, this is the worst thing for many people. You have stress factors. You think about things at night. Maybe you just have insomnia. You have trouble sleeping. Some people have sleep apnea, things like that. I would suggest see your doctor if you have any issues. Obviously, there's different things you can do. A lot of people, do ZMAs, things like that. CBD oil is becoming very popular for people to be able to sleep at night. And then your recovery modalities. So if you're taking your training serious, you're taking your food serious, your sleep's on point and everything, look at your recovery modalities. So are you going to see chiropractors, massage therapists? Are you getting dry needling, Graston, stim, every way of recovering? You need to find what works for you and get that done. So again, think about this in your training. Think about what you're doing in the gym, and then outside the gym, that's just as important. You need to understand what you just did and how to recover from it, and don't be stupid and just find a 1 rep max every week. I promise you, if you don't follow this correctly, you won't get stronger and you will continually get injured.